How much do you want to bet that Disney wanted to make a version of Terminator 2 that would be good for families, saw the TRON license was lying around, and then made this movie? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Disney's new TRON reboot, TRON Ares. I'm going to talk about what I liked about it, some things I didn't really like about it, and then I'll tell you if I think you should go out to the theaters and see it or not. So first of all, to answer the question that most people have when they hear there's going to be a new TRON movie, how are the visuals? And the visuals are, again, fantastic. Everything that comes from the grid, the light cycles, the ships, all that kind of stuff looks great. They've definitely improved some of the visuals as far as the grid vehicles and things like that since TRON Legacy. So overall, very, very good looking movie, very, very striking. Love what they do with lighting and it's really, really cool. And the other thing that a lot of people are probably wondering about is how is the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack? And that soundtrack is also pretty good. I thought it was a really, really solid, just visually and sonically. And this movie did a lot of cool stuff that really kind of pulls you in for some of the other things that this movie tries to do. I don't think the Nine Inch Nails soundtrack grabs me quite as much as the Daft Punk soundtrack from Legacy, but still pretty good. Now, kind of moving into some of the performances and the characters, I think the one really big standout in this movie is Greta Lee as the NCOM CEO. I think that it's honestly quite impressive that she made a CEO as likable as she did. You understand why she's doing everything that she's doing. She's funny. She's able to kind of provide a relatability for a character that maybe shouldn't really have that much relatability, which is kind of a running theme for at least the last two TRON movies. I'll be honest, I haven't seen the original. I need to go back and see it. But kind of having these people that are in charge of these large companies that are giving and wanting to provide things for the public and not just being in it for their own financial benefit, which is funny coming from Disney, but we don't really need to get into that. I also think that the movie it moves at a good clip. It's got some good action, develops pretty quickly. I didn't feel like I was sitting in there for, hours watching this movie. Overall, it's a pretty good time. Had a lot of fun just kind of watching the spectacle of it all. So definitely had a pretty fun time at the theater watching this one. Definitely go see it in IMAX or something if you can. So even though it was a pretty fun movie to go and see, I do definitely have a couple of issues with it. The first issue is the story itself. It's not that it's bad. It's just that it's really basic and kind of, I don't want to say uninteresting, but you just know exactly where everything's going to kind of go and fit in. And so it doesn't really do much for me story-wise. I think that they had some potential to do some creative things with the route that they went, and they chose to just play it really, really safe. I think that some of the supporting characters don't really help in that they're just kind of there. I mean, the only three real three-dimensional characters I think in this whole movie were Greta Lee's character, Evan Peters, Dillinger, and kind of Jared Leto, but also kind of not. They kind of play that weird AI thing where he's almost doing the, like I was saying in the beginning, the Terminator 2 thing where he's kind of encountering the world for the first time and actually interacting with it, but instead of kind of approaching it with the childlike quality that Arnold Schwarzenegger had in Terminator 2, he approaches it with kind of the cold, kind of, I'm going to try to explain this thing with data and all this, and then when I can't, I'm just going to be like, oh, I just kind of feel it. And it's like, no, the lead up into that, I don't feel was super earned. It's not bad, it's just the linchpin that they use for him to kind of be like, oh, this is the real world, it's fine. It's just not really that compelling, in my opinion. And I think that a lot of this is a symptom of it doesn't really lean on some of the things that I think have made like Tron Legacy great. Is most of Tron Legacy takes place on the grid. It takes place in cyberspace. And because of that, you get to do so much interesting with the visuals. Which, don't get me wrong, they do that in this movie. But it comes out feeling more like a Transformers movie, where you've got all these cool things happening with these realistic backgrounds, but the Tron series, you kind of expect to do more on the grid, and they didn't really do anything on the grid. And so it just kind of is left feeling like it's not, like it is a Tron movie, but it's also not a Tron movie at the same time, just because it doesn't have some of those feelings that are evoked by the other movies. And it's not a bad movie. It just feels like Disney wanted to make a certain movie, and then they saw the Tron license lying around, and they went, oh, well, okay, well, we'll put a Nine Inch Nails soundtrack in there to kind of, emulate what we did with the Daft Punk thing, and, we'll kind of have these, legacy characters mentioned, like Flynn, and, we'll kind of do all that to make it fit into the Tron universe, but it just doesn't really feel like a Tron movie. Now, with all that being said, I think that it's still a fun movie. It's still a movie I would say is worth going to see. It's just doesn't really feel like a continuation to Tron. And with all that being said, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, even though I do have some fairly big issues with it. The bottom line is I had fun watching it. And I think that's one of the most important things that a movie can do, is if you enjoyed seeing it, who cares if it's really all that good as a concept or in practice. If you had fun, it is what it is.